All right. Good afternoon. My name is Turner Bitton. I'm the executive director here at Westview Media. I'd like to thank you for tuning in to the next event in our City Talk series. Today, we're joined by Lorna Vogt from the Department of Public Services. Thank you for being here with us. Really quickly, before I have Lorna introduce herself, I'd just like to let the audience know the kind of format today. Similar to our other town halls and events, if you have questions and you're watching live on Facebook, be sure to submit them in the chat and we'll get to as many as we can. To get started, Lorna, why don't you just give us a little bit about your background and kind of how you came to be in the position that you're in?
Well, it's a surprise to me to be in my position. It's a real honor, but I can't imagine being in this position just 5 years ago. So I started my career working in nonprofits, and then I transitioned into public service, starting with the county, because I really liked the idea of working for the community. At that time, I was working in the open space acquisition and management area. And from then on, I was hooked. I really liked the way that we were able to communicate with the community, provide services that really made a difference in people's lives. So in 2017, I jumped over to the city to work in the waste and recycling world. And then from there, public services. And then in January of 2020, I assumed my position where I am today.
Thank you. To get started, why don't you give us a little bit of information about what the Department of Public Services does?
Sure. We're a little bit of the catch-all. I would say that we touch nearly every resident. Well, every single resident in the city is touched by our services. And we do everything from take care of kids after school and provide education support, which has been incredibly important during this last year with schools all being online. So that's our youth and family program. To fixing the streets in front of people's homes. We fix buildings. We take care of golf courses, parks, trails, natural lands, and we write parking tickets. And we take care of all the city vehicles. So we're a real catch-all. I think the best way we can be summed up is saying we do two primary things. We take care of things, that's asset management basically, and we provide critical services.
Thank you. So it sounds like you have a very large mission and you probably interact with a bunch of different departments within the city. So how does your department work with other departments? And kind of how do you fit in the organizational chart, if you will?
Sure. We work with pretty much everybody in the city, not so much the airport, but with everybody else, we do intersect. So let me give you an example. If transportation is going to be built, the transportation division is going to be building a beautiful new trail or a bike lane. We're the ones who are eventually going to take care of that bike lane. So we're involved from day one with the planning and design so that we make sure that they're using materials that we can manage, they're building it so our equipment fits, they're meeting our specifications, and it's a really dynamic partnership. If they're building a new trail, the public lands divisions are going to take care of that trail in the future. So how do we put in landscaping that's something that they can maintain? How can we make sure that irrigation system works all the way across? So we get a lot of time in coordinating projects with our partners. And it's really exciting and fun work that way because they have these beautiful ideas of how to grow our city's amenities for the public. And then we own them pretty much for the rest of their life. And so our job is to protect that initial investment and make sure that it's there for future generations.
Thank you. With a mission that big, how big is your department? How many staff do you have?
Got a little more than 400 full-time equivalent employees, and it swells during the summertime because we bring on 200 golf employees, for example, and another 50 or 60 public lands employees who come on and do the heavy work during the summertime. So yeah, we are a very big department. We have 10 different divisions with 10 different focuses of work, but they all work really well together. And one of the things we try to do is we try to share resources and share ideas. Even though my youth and family services director may not have much in common with the golf director, it's amazing how much they can find to collaborate on and share ideas on and support each other.
Thank you. Um, you kind of already mentioned this with the two dual roles, but just wanted to give you another opportunity to expand upon that. What are the most important takeaways that you'd like people to take away about your department?
I'd like people to think of us as the people who take care of what they value most in the city. So if you've got a neighborhood park that you really like and you see that the lighting is starting to fail or the swing set is getting old, we're the ones who are supposed to be taking care of those things. If the street, you've got a pothole in front of your street and in front of your house that really drives you nuts on the way to work, we're the ones who are going to go out there and take care of it for you. The beautiful city tree that might be in front of your property, we're the ones who will help with that. We like to be as close as we can to the residents and provide the services that make their lives better. We try to do it in a cost-effective way, in an environmentally sustainable way, and an equitable way, so that we're delivering services across the entire city.
Thank you. Um, can you talk about some of the current projects or priorities that your department has right now?
Sure. One of the most exciting and dynamic areas of work that we're doing right now is in our public lands divisions, and that's parks, trails and natural land, golf, and urban forestry. So we're looking, they're doing a master plan process right now called Reimagine Nature. And we're asking people across the city in different ways and in different languages, how do you really want these public spaces to look and function for you and your family? These are some of the most important spaces we have in the city because they bring people together. They provide kids access, well, all of us access to nature. They serve important environmental functions, and they really provide for a way for our community to mix and mingle and break down divides. And there's a lot of potential in these public spaces. So that's the master plan process. It's very exciting because we want to hook it up with trails. We want to find ways to put in something other than, grass, trees, and maybe a swing set, right? How would we make these parks really serve different communities, make them accessible so the disabled community can access a park, put in programming. Maybe there's some seniors who want to do some programming in a park. How could we make that accessible to them and really make those vibrant spaces? So that's a big part of work that's being done right now. The Foothill Trails Master Plan is going. So right now they're building out sections of trail. They're building out trailheads. They're doing similar work on the Jordan River Trail. We just opened up several new boat launches, and we're going to have that paddle trail. And in that master planning process, some of the big ideas that are coming out are things like making that the green ribbon throughout the entire county and our section of it, and really connecting up bridges and playgrounds and open spaces and trails with parks all along the river corridor.
Thank you. Along those lines, are there, you mentioned some of them, the new boat ramps along the Jordan River and other projects. Are there specific projects that viewers on the west side might be particularly interested in?
Well, our biggest and most exciting opportunity is what to do with the old water park by Glendale Golf Course. Mm-hmm. And the community has been so engaged and doing a lot of community surveys, neighborhood surveys, and we have asked for money to do some really good, exciting planning around that facility. And the potential is enormous. That's a big piece of land along the river next to the golf course. What could we do there that's never been seen before in the city? Most of that planning, all that planning has to be informed by what the residents want out there. And we know the water park was a beloved facility for many years, and it fell into such disrepair. And I know that's been a sore point for the community because of the hazards that it presents. But we're going to move ahead, get the visioning in place. And I think it's just really exciting to see what could be put there that's unlike anything else we have anywhere. It'll be a real destination for people to come and enjoy.
That's exciting. And speaking of the water park, can you maybe talk through what the life cycle of a spot like that might be, and how you determine maybe when there's a need for an update, or
Mhm.
kind of how you do that type of prioritization?
Oh, it's such a deep topic. It's a very good topic. And that's something that we're learning more. We have new tools coming on board that will help us do that. That will tell us, okay, if this is the vision for this kind of amenity in a park, like a splash pad, for example, how would we build it in a sustainable way? And then how much will it cost to maintain over the years? And when do pieces need to be replaced so that we can plan for the entire life cycle of it? So it's complicated work because we have so many of these amenities to work with, and the funding hasn't always been available for the upkeep of them. And so that's our biggest challenge, is how do we catch up with where we should be so that then we can keep them in the best condition possible. And at sometimes it's the right time to retire whatever has been there and to replace it with something that's safer, more important to the community now versus 20 years ago, more sustainable, and is just a new design. And I think one of the exciting designs out there is how to make these green spaces accessible to those who are disabled in the disabled community and don't have as much access. And there's such exciting designs around the world for that.
Thank you. You had mentioned that funding wasn't always there, and voters a few years ago passed the Funding Our Future initiative, and just wondering if you could talk about the ways that your department has leveraged that funding to implement projects throughout the city.
Yeah, with the Funding Our Future, we were in the infrastructure bucket, if you will. And with that, we were able to add a new asphalt crew. It doesn't sound very exciting, but what our plan was is we're going to take a new crew and some new equipment, and we are going to go for the streets that are closest to people's homes. So that's residential streets. And we look across the entire network and we make sure we have a good distribution of projects throughout the city. And we tackle those roads that can be maintained properly and keep them at the highest level possible. That way they don't fall into disrepair and they're not as expensive to keep in good condition. I don't know if we'll ever catch up with all the roads in the city, but that is an exciting piece of work. It's not just going out and putting down a new coat of asphalt or some chip seal on it. It's about how do we improve the entire life of the pavement so that there's fewer greenhouse gas emissions, for example, because building a road creates more greenhouse gas emissions versus maintaining it properly over its life. So that's how we're using Funding Our Future. We also use a piece in our fleet division for purchasing public safety vehicles. And so the last time we got the funding, we added in hybrid police vehicles. With next year, what we're proposing is catching up on critical fire apparatus, because we don't want to be in a position where we have any of our fire apparatus not able to work for the community. So that's where the money will go if we're approved for it next year. And we're actually looking at an all-electric fire engine. It's not in the budget this year, but it's the kind of potential that's out there that we're really excited about.
Thank you. I'm wondering, in your mission statement as an organization, do sidewalks fall within that mission?
Oh boy, that's a tough topic for us. We share that with engineering. There is no funding source for routine concrete sidewalk replacement. It creates an inequity in our city because that is city infrastructure with no way to maintain it unless the homeowner pays 50%. So if a homeowner can't afford 50%, Then they can go to engineering, and there is a grant program that will make for replacements of some of those sections of sidewalk. But however, the engineering division has recently completed a condition index of all the sidewalks in the city. And that was a huge lift for them, but they walked them all and took the condition. Our real goal is to start developing a program where we can proactively go out there and fix and replace sidewalks where they're needed to be done. Unfortunately, that has never been funded in the past. It's a big ask, but it is something we continue to pursue.
Thank you. I'm going to give you a break because I've asked you a bunch of questions in rapid succession, and just remind folks that are watching live that if you have questions, please submit them. I'm nearing the end of my list of prepared questions, and that time will be yours when I'm finished with mine. So if you have questions, please submit them in the chat and we'll get to as many as we can. I'm going to go clear back up to the very biggest picture, if you will. But can you kind of describe your personal approach and philosophy to managing your department and kind of how you do your day-to-day work?
Sure. My job really is to make sure the priorities of the city, and that includes the residents because they communicate through to the mayor and their council member, are implemented down to the ground level. And so I need to make sure that I communicate those properly to my team, that they understand what's most important. And then the reverse also happens. I think policymakers and the residents need to know what we do and how we do it, not only so they can help us figure out a better way, but that they can understand what we're working with in a partnership. So I make sure communication is good. I try to connect a lot of dots between my department and other departments, trends and news that I see. And so to provide context for my very busy division directors who are trying to do their day-to-day work every day is to give them that context. I try to clear the barriers out of their way so they can succeed, try to depoliticize their job as much as possible so that they can focus on keeping employees busy and healthy and safe and coming back every day, happy to do the work that they're doing. And for the most part, I think we're pretty successful. I'll just have to say that I've got a remarkable team of people. And when I get a chance to get out and see them, even if it's in a parking lot from a distance, I just can't tell you how dedicated they are to the city and to the residents and the pride they take in doing their work. And I'd like to put in a plug for us. If anyone is interested in a career, these are not the tech jobs. This is not coding, but these are solid careers where people can get a good job, learn a trade, and support a family. And we're looking for new and young workers to come in and grow with us in the work that we do.
Thank you. Is your department participating in the apprenticeship program?
We are, and we think that's very exciting.
What types of apprenticeships do you have available, just as an example?
Sure. Well, we have in compliance, parking enforcement, we have one in trails and natural lands. Do you want to go out and be a trail steward or maybe help other community members volunteer on a trail? In our facilities division, do you want to learn how to be an electrician someday? Find out what it's like to be a skilled carpenter or a plumber and work on those jobs. In the streets division, same thing. Our technical staff that works on signals, they're constantly improving their ability to take on these very technical electronic systems. And so we would love to have people come in and learn how to do that. And we'll support you in any way we can.
Thank you. And you mentioned with the last question, the kind of public input process, and just wanted to ask you, what is the best way for residents to engage with your department? Say I had a pothole in front of my home. What is the best way for me to communicate that information to you all?
The city has something called the City Sourced, and you can take a picture, you can put a pin on a map and text it or, email it into us. and we will respond as quickly as we can. We have someone assigned in each of our divisions to respond to those customer issues as quickly as they can. All of our numbers are listed on the website in the Salt Lake City. There's also a nice feature on the homepage of the Salt Lake City website called My Street. And My Street is a gathering place for all the different activities that might be happening on your street. So it's everything from where's my snowplow during a storm, to how do I report a pothole, to what construction project might be happening in my neighborhood coming up. So it's got all of that information right there. We have people answering the phones all day, every day, and we'd love to hear from people.
Thank you. My next question, I'm going to go back toward the beginning. We were talking about all the different divisions that fit within your department. And I'm wondering if you could just share the names of every division within your department.
Sure. I try to go in alphabetical order, but I never don't quite do it right. So we have the compliance division. They do parking enforcement. They also do the crossing guard program. We manage all the crossing guards for the city. That's another great opportunity for jobs for part-time. Then we have the facilities division. They manage all of the city buildings. They do everything from changing air filters and light bulbs to major boilers and transformers and roof projects on 83 city buildings, including our iconic city county building and the Sorensen Multicultural Center, which is where they've been doing a lot of work lately. And then we have the fleet division, manages all of the city's fleet. We've got about 3,000 assets that we manage there: fire engines, vac trucks for public utilities, all the police vehicles, and all the heavy equipment that streets uses, right down to lawn mowers that are used in parks. After facilities, we have golf. So we have 6 courses in the city. We have the parks division. We have the trails and natural lands division. We have urban forestry, which has been really busy this year with the windstorm. We have the streets division, which handles all of the road maintenance projects throughout the city. And then we have, I think I'm missing youth and family. And youth and family has a really nice West Side presence in the Unity Center and Sorensen Multicultural Center, and has started up some more programming this year at the Fair Park, which has generously offered us some space. And one of our priorities, when you mention priority projects, is we want to expand youth and family programming in the Northwest Quadrant in particular. Lots of young kids, lots of young families who could use that kind of support and enhancement for their kids.
Well, thank you. That is quite a plate of business. Well, I think one of the final prepared question that I have for you is I'd love to hear a story of success or some inspiration that you've had that kind of keeps you going.
Yeah, you know, we have gotten in the habit of complaining about 2020 and what a horrible year it was. And it was a tragic year for so many people. And we can't get away from the sadness of the year, but it was also an opportunity to see people really shine. And so the youth and family group, for example, stepping up and doing emergency childcare for critical workers, healthcare workers, all the way to expanding their programming almost overnight to all-day programming for kids, finding safe spots for kids to be, helping them through the struggles of online learning, setting up free Wi-Fi access for them. And then, of course, the windstorm. And the windstorm took almost all of our people off of their normal jobs. And they leapt into the response and came together. And it wasn't just us, it was other city departments too. But the way we were able to come together and work as a team, there was no argument, there was no territorialism, there was no, it's not my job attitude. Everybody jumped in and they worked very long hours and they did it really well. And we had no one hurt other than some minor bumps and bruises. We're still doing the work, but we were able to get out there and pull trees off of homes, especially in the Rose Park community, which was those beautiful big old Modesto ash trees that just came down and tore up sidewalks and landed on people's yards and homes and destroyed driveways. It was heartbreaking. But seeing everybody come together and work as a team was probably one of the best experiences of my life, even though it was very, very stressful. And it was very stressful because we were spending a lot of city money and trying to make the best decisions on a day-by-day basis and figure out how to do it in a way that's going to serve the community, but also possibly get us the chance to get some money reimbursed through FEMA. So that work is still going. As I said, we're still fixing sidewalks, we're still removing stumps, and we're still putting the cemetery back in order. And then the next big project is, how do we replant trees? And as you know, the mayor has an initiative to plant 1,000 trees more every year on the west side. And we hit that goal with a little bit extra this year. And so how do we continue doing that to grow an urban forest that provides comfort, shelter, cooling, stormwater protection, and a sense of nature throughout our communities, especially where there's not enough trees? And we're asking for the community to help us with that. We're setting up urban forestry subcommittees in community councils, teaching people how to care for that tree. The most important thing it needs is water, and how to take care of a new tree so that, you know, when your kids grow up, they've got a beautiful big tree in their front yard.
Thank you. When I think of 2020, I think of the picture we had actually in an issue of the Westview, and it was one of those downed trees in Rose Park, and it had a message of hope and just community building on it. And I just want to express my gratitude to your staff and to all city employees for really rallying and helping our communities. That was a big lift. And just wanted to express our gratitude. You did mention Wi-Fi access, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that program. It's been an important lifeline, I know, for many families, and just wondering if you could share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, and that's a partnership between our information management services department and their director, Aaron Bentley, and our folks, our new chief innovations officer at the city, Noel Walkingshaw, and our youth and family director, Kim Thomas. And that was a project they just leapt on, and working with Comcast, they've reached out to Google, and they put more equipment up on the hill. I don't know the names of all of it because this is not my strength, but they really came together to find ways that they could boost internet access. And so the Unity Center was one of the primary ones. And then there was a press release that just went out the other day, and I'm so sorry I don't have it right in front of me, that has 3 more sites that have just been opened up. And then with, there's funding coming through the American Rescue Plan Act. That will be a priority of us to continue expanding free Wi-Fi throughout the community and find ways to support families as they build back from COVID. And especially for young people struggling to get through school, they might have to be working to help their families. We need to make it as easy as possible for them to be able to do that. And so that's what Youth and Family is committing to.
Thank you. You've mentioned the funding coming through the Recovery Act a couple of times, and just wondering, I know it's probably early and you're probably still figuring it all out, but do you have any idea of the types of funding that are coming and maybe the kinds of projects they'll support?
I think the mayor announced in the council meeting this last week that we're in the $80 million range that the city probably could get. We just got up a meeting a few minutes ago talking about what kind of things the money can be used for. I know that a lot of it should be going back into the community to support small business and others who need to get through the economic downturn they experienced. Within the city, we're putting together lists of things that might be eligible. I personally would love to see some more investment in the youth and family programming and see if we can't put some more sites together. We have options for, expanding transit. We have options for, building infrastructure that's more resilient. And all of those things are being discussed right now. The city has a lot of needs. The community has a lot of needs. So the important thing is, how do we put a priority on what the money goes to, and how can we leverage it with other money we have so that we take advantage of every penny? I know that that's something the mayor is really focused on right now, and she's asking us to all come together in the next week to put the outlines together. And it's another great opportunity for residents to weigh in through their council or through the mayor's office to reach out with ideas.
Thank you. I just got our first audience question from Sonia, and she asked if Youth City fits within your department.
It does right now. It seems so odd to have people who do maintenance and have, construction. They wear orange and they go out and they drive big trucks. And then we have youth and family taking care of kids in playground, in our parks. But yes, youth and family is part of our department.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any other audience questions. I'm just going to give a plug to folks who are watching live. If you have questions or you've been waiting to ask one, I'm toward the end of my prepared questions, so we will be depending on audience questions. So if you have one, get it in the chat and we'll make sure that we ask it. My final question that I prepared is, what is one question that I didn't ask you today that I probably should have?
Let's see, maybe when we're going to get those trees back.
Yeah.
On the west side. So I mentioned that the mayor has that priority and that we are asking for the community to help us. So what's really, really important is, if you have space in front of your house for a tree, or even in your front yard, we'll be happy to come and plant a city tree in your front yard. The only way we're going to grow back our forest and expand our forest is if people will step up and commit to taking care of a tree and watering it. That's all a tree really needs, is to be watered, and it will perform amazing benefits for you and your home. It even extends the life of the asphalt on the road in front of your house. It cuts your heating bills. It adds property value. And of course, it provides a place for you and your family to enjoy in your front yard. So find out how you can get a tree, and let's put it in the yard. Let's put it in your park strip, and let's regrow an urban forest that will support generations to come.
Thank you. I don't see any additional audience questions, and I've really enjoyed our conversation today. I want to thank you for your time, and thank you for all the work you do for our city. We'd love to have you back, and I just encourage folks who are watching live to stick around. Our next interview starts in about 19 minutes, and we'll be interviewing the Salt Lake City attorney. So I just want to thank you for your time today, and just express my appreciation for all the work you do.
Thank you very much, and it was a pleasure. And I just say hello to the whole community out there, and I look forward to when we can see each other in parks pretty soon.
Thank you. You take care.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.